everyone, welcome to another episode of Nussbaum Autohaus. I am your host David Nussbaum. Today, for those that have a really good eye, this intro scene basically tells you what car I'm in. So we have the prancing horse behind my head and over my shoulder, which obviously is going to be a Ferrari. But then you think to yourself, why does this Ferrari have 4 seats? Well, that means it could only be a couple different models. It could either be the Ferrari FF, it could be the Lusso, or it can be the Purosangue, which is ding 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 what we have today. I just picked up this white Purosangue from a client of mine. He wanted the full white glove service, so I personally came up to the Boca Raton area, which is about an hour and a half north of Miami, to pick up this car and drive it to the facility so we can get some upgrades. Before we get to the upgrades, I want to kind of give you guys the nerdy kind of specs and cool facts about this car, or should I call it an SUV? Ferrari doesn't like to call it an SUV. They call it an FUV, a Ferrari utility vehicle, which they refuse to call it an SUV, which is pretty funny. But this feels like a car. I just put it through some of its paces just to feel the acceleration, how it felt on the on-ramp for the highway, and it definitely feels like a car, like basically a hatchback. And so the reason that is because of a couple of the decisions that Ferrari chose to make for the Purosangue. Number one, naturally aspirated 6.5 liter V12. My favorite engine probably on the market today. Naturally aspirated V12, the way that it screams with the front engine layout all the way to the back, I think it sounds better than a Aventador or Lamborghini Revuelto, and it's just a glorious sound. But we're going to improve on that in just a bit with some of the parts that I'm going to show you that we're going to install in this car. So I did say front engine because the engine is located in front of me. However, it is technically a front mid-engine design because the engine sits behind the front axle. One of the things that they really wanted for this SUV was a car handling feel, and so some of the other things they did was they put the 8-speed dual clutch transmission mounted in the back, and they also did the weight distribution, which all of this considered 49% in the front, 51% in the rear, which is close to 50-50 perfection. And you know, the engineers did a good job from the performance aspect of it. Some other cool things about it, you've got the captain's chair, so technically there's only 4 seats. You can't have anybody sitting right here in the middle because you have some controls and the armrest. So the seats in this car are going to be the orange. They're absolutely beautiful. They've got black Alcantara incorporated into it and also some black stitching. So some more specs on this car. I believe it's about 715 horsepower, 528 foot-pounds of torque. 0 to 60 for this big SUV or FUV, again as Ferrari calls it, is going to be around 3.3, 0 to 60, and top speed I believe is around the 200 area. I think I saw 198 if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that, but you know, all around the performance figures are absolutely insane for an SUV like this. It's a direct competitor to the Lamborghini Urus, and I think that from an exclusivity standpoint, this is going to be a little bit more exclusive. I think Ferrari mentioned that they will never produce more than 20% of their total output for the year. If you go by Google search, they make around 13 to 14,000 per year, so that would put the production number of this SUV around 2,800 per year. So, you know, maybe 3-4 years down the line, there's going to be 10,000 in total in the USA, or I should say in the world, globally. I feel like I've seen more than that on the Urus since it's been out in the early 2019, 2020s. So I'm going to get a little bit more seat time behind this, finish my drive to the shop, and you all will see some of the modifications that we have going for this super SUV. All right, everyone, so we just arrived at the facility, and one thing I did notice about the Purosangue is that it's awfully quiet inside when you're driving the car. Obviously, when you're standing outside and around it, the 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12 sounds glorious, but on the inside, it just needed a little extra oomph. And one of the things that Purosangue owners can do is upgrade their factory exhaust system. In this case, we turn to Novitec for that. Now, I'm gonna try my best to name all 14 exhaust components that Novitec offers within the exhaust realm of their offerings. Number one is gonna be the Power optimized race exhaust system with flap regulation. That's exactly what we see here, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. The second is the power optimized race exhaust system without flap regulation. What they mean by with or without flap regulation is valves. That's their terminology for using the valves. So they have the race exhaust system that's power optimized, both with a valve version, which is what this is, or completely valveless if you want the car loud all the time. The bottom tier version of their muffler system is the power optimized exhaust with flap regulation, which is essentially a little bit of a different design. They don't have this smaller resonator tube in here. They have a bigger muffler, which is truer to size with the factory muffler, so it doesn't give you that big of a bump over the factory exhaust unit. But it's that option there for those that want that little bit increase instead of a dramatic one like this one will be. With those three different muffler versions, they offer it in three different materials. Stainless steel, which is what this is, Inconel, which is what Formula One uses on their exhaust systems, and stainless steel with 999 fine gold plating. Gold, as many of us know, is really good for heat dispersion, but being honest, that's just a flex to show people, hey, I spent my money on the most expensive version that they have, and if you take a peek, you can kind of see some gold past the bodywork of the car. But you know, for the most intents and purposes, you're gonna do either the stainless steel or the Inconel if you want something very lightweight. So those three different materials on that three different muffler setups equals 9 already, so we're more than halfway through all of their offerings of the exhaust component side. Next up is gonna be the X pipe, which you see right here in the stainless steel, and it's got the heat shielding on it, so super cool setup. This is gonna be a little bit different and a little bit more free-flowing than the factory X pipe. They also offer sport cat pipes, which are for off-road use only, and I have to shout because when you look at their website or the pricing guide, it clearly says it in bold, capital letters, for off-road use only. For those of us that are located in states like Florida, here, we don't really have a lot of regulations on catalytic converters and things like that. We don't have to go to check our cars for emissions every year. It's just we sign up on the mail for another tag and we get it the next year. In California, where you have to test it every year, that's not going to pass the emissions. So again, this is different offerings for different people depending on where they're located in the US or really around the world. Typically, Novitec will offer the sport cats and completely catless pipes for vehicles, including all the Ferrari models. But in this Purosangue case, they only offer the sport cats pipe. So that's very interesting. I'm wondering why they did that, but that's one of the options that they have. Then you have the Novitec exhaust tips, which can pair to either this muffler, any of others Novitec mufflers, or the factory muffler as well. And then you have the Tektronic, which is highly recommended if you're doing any sort of engine tuning or setup change on the exhaust, because it'll make it avoid the check engine light. And finally, you have the Switchtronic as well, which gives you the ability to have a button in the cockpit, whether it be in your glove box or center console, and you can open and close the valves. If you don't order that, then the car just opens and closes the valves based on what drive mode you're in. So either wet, comfort, sport, race, etc. So let me move this back out of the way just so you can go back to the power optimized race muffler with flap regulation in stainless steel. It's an absolute thing of beauty. You have the bracket here with Novitec very pronounced here. On the back side, you have, of course, where you would mount the factory valves. A lot of these cars, you just take the factory valve actuator and you mount it up here, and it's a plug-and-play kit. So I'm extremely, extremely interested in seeing how this is gonna sound and also what it's gonna weigh. Again, this is the stainless steel version. It's not the lightweight Inconel, but even feeling this, it's pretty lightweight. And when I saw the big muffler canister on the factory unit that's still in the car and getting removed from it right now, it's probably gonna be a decent amount of change in weight. So let me know what you think about just the fitment on this and the quality of the welds and how just it looks overall. And leave a comment on the section below of which version of the exhaust you would want. Do you want something super extreme? In that case, I would do the Sport Cats without valves and on the race optimized system. But if you want a good increase and you just don't want to insult your neighbors in any way, shape, or form, this is going to be the unit for you. It's been a couple days since we had some of the B-roll footage for the suspension and the exhaust, and finally we have the ending outcome of the Purosangue with the 3 different modifications. Number 1, the Novitec exhaust system. Number 2, the Novitec suspension. And number 3, the Novitec wheels. Let's start off with the Novitec wheels. These are the NF11s. Novitec offers 3 different wheel models for the Purosangue: NF9, NF10, NF11. They're manufactured actually here in South Florida, Doral to be exact, which is a neighborhood just outside of Miami, at Vossen. And these are a 22 by 9.5 in the front and a massive 23 by 12 in the rear. Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. You have 255, 35, 22 in the front, 315, 30, 23 in the back. Truly a huge size, and if you were to tell somebody maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago that Ferrari would come out with a vehicle that had factory 22s, factory 23s in the back, they would call you nuts. But fact of the matter is that the Purosangue comes exactly in that sizing from factory. So these are actually not larger than the factory wheels, but they are with a lower offset. That way it sits way more flush with the body, both in the front and the rear. It's an absolutely phenomenal look. It looks like it has a center lock right now, but that's just because of the feature that Novitec and Vossen do with this wheel, which is called the center lock look. And it's basically a cap that goes right over the lugs so you don't see the lugs, and you can reuse your Ferrari center cap. So it makes it look like a center lock. You can actually have that cover in a variety of different colors: red, silver, you name it. On this car, it looks best in black, so that's how we had ordered it, especially when it had the Ferrari factory carbon fiber center caps, which I think they charge maybe $2,000 for the set of that, which is absolutely absurd. And so is the rest of this car. I mean, the starting price on this, bare bones, no options, is about $425, $435, around there. And when I looked up some for sale right now, used ones with low mileage were in the 5s, and there were some with crazy high specs in the 600,000 range as well. So truly crazy price point when you think about it. I also want to open up the butterfly doors just so you guys can see how people in the back side or on the back end are supposed to get in. And it's absolutely beautiful, this spec. It's a pearlescent white, and it's got the orange interior. Phenomenal look. I believe these doors are going to be automated if you just press that little button there. And of course the front you want to close as well. So back into that interior, you have the orange interior with orange stitching on some parts, black stitching on other parts, and carbon fiber on places like the door cards, center console, things like that. So it's a truly nice place for 4 adults to be. I'm about 6 foot tall on a good day, and when I get in the back here, I wouldn't say I have an enormous amount of leg room or headroom for that matter, but I don't feel too claustrophobic. So I would actually prefer probably a GT4 Lusso V12 or even a Ferrari FF. Just because I'm more into cars, but this is truly a masterpiece in terms of engineering, and again, what Ferrari calls it, the Ferrari utility vehicle, or the FUV. Don't say SUV or they will probably fine you. Going back to the modifications that we did, of course I showed you what the Novitec exhaust components look like and all the Novitec offerings for that. So now I'm probably going to plug in the before and after sound so that you guys can let me know in the comments what you think. And now coming back to it, let's talk about the suspension. So the suspension, these are sport springs, and they work in conjunction with the front end lift that this car has, so you don't lose that ability. Some cars are spec'd with it, some cars are spec'd without it, but this lowers the car less than 25 millimeters, less than an inch over the factory ride height. But when you actually take a step back and you look at it versus what we've previously had on the car, the factory ride height. This makes it even lower, makes it look more like just a shooting brake or a hot hatch or a wagon, even though it's that FUV. So I think it's an absolute phenomenal combination. One thing you have to consider when you lower the car is that the top of the tire and the wheel are gonna naturally camber inward as you press down on the car or as you have lowering springs. And so what that means is if you were to try and lower this car with the factory wheels have a really high offset just out of the box, which means that they're really sunken into the fenders. And the way to change that is by having the more aggressive wheels, which of course we have with the NF11s here. Finish-wise, this is gloss black. I think typically, I'm not a fan of the gloss black. Even in this Miami sun, it's kind of hard to see what the design looks like, and I'll have to brighten up the image of the video just a little bit. But on this car, it works phenomenally well just because this car has so many accents that are gloss black. So you can actually option this fender, side skirt, and everything in the back in a carbon fiber when you're adding up 100,000, 125,000 to the MSRP, or you could do it like this car, which is the gloss black. So this wheel in gloss black with the center lock cap in gloss black and matches everything on the side that's gloss black. So it's actually a really nice touch. There's some cars like this one, for example, that come with so many black accents. Another one that I can think of is a 992 GT3 RS. So you can have a crazy color like a mint green on the RS, but there's so many black accents that when you start adding a black wheel onto it, it kind of ties it all together. They're almost like a two-tone color scheme on cars like that. So I'm very, very happy the way this came out. In addition to the springs, the exhaust, and the wheels that we did through Novitec, Novitec also offers a slew of carbon fiber components. I think the last time I checked might have been between 12 to 15 different parts. So basically anything that you see here that's going to be black plastic or gloss plastic, gloss black plastic can be replaced in the carbon fiber. It's going to be more affordable than the Ferrari carbon fiber, and also a little bit more aggressive as well. And Novitec offers a full Enlargo wide body kit, which would be very cool to do. So if you're watching this and you want to do something super radical with a Purosangue, give me a call. We'd love to be able to do that for you. In the meantime, let me know what you think about the Purosangue. I understand that it's a super polarizing car. I understand that you know, some people might have spec'd it a little bit differently in the sense of the different color wheels or even a wheel design. But I just want you to leave your comment and tell me what it is that you like the most about this car and what it is that you would change about this car. And then after that, I want you to hit subscribe if you aren't a subscriber already. I appreciate you all giving the support and the thumbs up because it really helps my channel grow. And last but not least, thank you all for watching. I enjoy doing these videos from beginning to end. I love nerding out on the stuff, and it kind of takes me away from my day-to-day operations of running Nussbaum Autohaus and gives me a little bit of fun while doing so. So if you like the content, please share it and like it. That will help me reach some new eyes of other people that might enjoy this content and grow the channel, which will allow me in turn to do more fun supercar stuff like this. So until next time, I hope you all drive safe, be well, and I'll catch you on the next one. Why am I going this way? Just go in here.